Is it working now? If you're wondering why I'm holding my microphone up here, it's because having it down on the desk, this is the second take of this overly awkward introduction. Hello, guys. This is more awkward than I realized it was going to be. Obviously, there's still quite a few things I need to learn about vlogging. As I said, it's a horror game. But yeah, I'm not going to share any more than that. Go give that a look, because it. God. I hope this take is good finally. It's taken me way too many already at this point, and I'm starting to get very self-conscious in front of this camera. I think it's judging me.
And then I realized I can just do a slideshow.
The benefits of doing a slideshow are A, my ugly mug doesn't have to take up the entire screen, and B, I don't get off track as easily. So yeah, here we go. So my name is Nathan. I am the creator of this YouTube channel, Broken Halo Entertainment, and I am very excited to share these journeys into these games and other projects with you guys here, and hopefully it doesn't stop with this one. So yeah, just take it one step at a time and hope this YouTube channel continues to grow and new projects continue to get bigger and better. For those of you who don't know who I am, congratulations, you're in the majority. For those of you who do know who I am, hi Mom, hi Dad. Anyway, I do have another project on this channel in case you wanted to know more about what kind of things I'm into making. It's called Radio Static. It's a horror short film, and it's the product of a full year of hard work from me and a handful of other amazing artists. I am super proud of it, even though it's not perfect. And I would highly encourage you to go check it out and see what you think. Alright, now I don't want to take up too much of your guys' time here, so I'm going to stop rambling. But in case you didn't realize already from the title, this is the first devlog in a new and exciting project and journey that I hopefully get to share with you guys all the way to the end. And it's my first game project ever, although I have worked volunteer in game development before, so I do know some things, but this is going to be a totally different experience, a lot more solo, and yeah, so you guys are going to get to see me fail and stumble my way through a lot of things, and hopefully also succeed with a lot of things by the end. But yeah, look forward to it. In this video specifically, I'm going to be showing you the process of creating the first full concept piece for this game. And yeah, hopefully you guys enjoy that, and we'll see where this series takes us from there. Now, since this is the day and age that we live in, I actually started by prompting Dolly to get a few references to base everything off of, and I was actually quite pleased with how these turned out. So if you couldn't tell from those references already, this game is going to take place in a spooky corn maze. And here now with the references already, I'm just going to be playing around with the perspective and layout, and just trying to find a place that I'm happy with before I commit too much time or energy to any particular part of it. So this rough sketch here that I'm working on, the purpose of it isn't really to look too pretty or be polished at all. So it's going to be very rough, but it's just there for the purpose of finding my direction. And from there I can polish things up and put a lot more time and effort into the next steps in the process. You can see here that color and lighting also play a role at this stage. however not nearly to the same degree as the overall layout and perspective, since the color and lighting will come about more naturally later on as things progress. So what you continue to see me do here is I'm just working more on playing around with the perspective, trying to create this sense that the walls of the maze are just towering and impenetrable all around you. So as a player, you get more of this sense of isolation and like you're trapped and there's no escape. This also adds to the fact that I'm currently imagining the player being in the role of a small child, who of course has a lower physical perspective of the environment, but also mentally their perspective would be more likely to exaggerate things and see things as more threatening and massive than they truly are. So it is a 2-for-1 deal sort of situation in the sense that it both enhances the horror elements as well as draws you in more to that story that you are a child in this terrifying place. You'll notice me spend a lot of time playing around with the positioning of the scarecrow here. I do really like it sitting above the cornstalks, especially with how tall they already are. It makes it even more uncanny and weird, especially with how much it hides in the darkness. It's not totally visible, which makes it even more of a threat, I find. But for the purposes of this concept, I ended up deciding to bring it down, as you see me doing here, and make it more of a prominent element of the foreground that you can focus on. Alright, so with the rough layout sketch in a place that I'm happy with, it's time to move on to some 3D modeling. I find this really helpful just for creating a strong and especially realistic foundation to paint over. Plus I need a lot of practice with it because I'm pretty beginner with 3D modeling, and I do plan on trying to do at least as much of the 3D modeling for this project as I can. But with that said, it is very fun and very interesting just playing around in 3D applications like Blender here and just learning all the ways that it can be used and all the amazing and cool things that it can do. Also adding on that the whole thing will be put together in Unreal Engine 5. However, I will be doing most of the modeling in Blender, as you see me doing here. Now I did a little jump forward in time here, but you can see I just duplicated the first cornstalk and used the same technique while changing a few things around just to give a little bit of variety to the kinds of cornstalks you would see in the scene. Obviously here you can see I made a little bit of an uneven ground, but now you see all those weird diamonds floating there. That's just a temporary thing while I set up a way for the corn stalks to be sort of randomly displaced around the terrain using geometry nodes. I'm not going to explain too much about geometry nodes, mostly because I don't really understand them myself, but when you watch a few tutorials and play around with it a little bit, you kind of start to understand how you can apply it to do some really creative and unique things in the Blender program. So I definitely encourage you, if you do use Blender, to play around with some geometry nodes. It's really fun. And oh, and here you see I'm doing some weight painting. This will allow me to control where the corn stalks are dispersed. So in those red areas there, you'll see more of concentration of corn stalks, and on the blue areas you shouldn't really see any at all. So that will make sort of the pathway of the maze. And yeah, it's pretty fun stuff. A little bit complicated, but once you really get into it, it's really fun and gives you a lot of control to very easily set up very complex scenes like this. Here now I'm starting on modeling the lampposts, which in context of the games, I kind of want the player to feel like they're more or less the only safe haven they have around, or at least the closest thing to it. And by doing so, I'm hoping to create sort of this tension of trying to race from one lamppost to the next and expecting terrible things to happen in between. And so having lampposts that are a little further apart from time to time could cause just that extra fear and panic trying to navigate through the darkness to the next source of light. I think at this point here, it's pretty clear to see how easily you can get the tone and the atmosphere of a scene to come through just with some simple modeling, some simple shapes, and some simple lighting. I mean, this did take me a few hours altogether still to complete the 3D scene, but it would have taken me a lot longer to get the same results just with a drawing program. Starting the second day, I wrote down a checklist of things that I still needed to complete. Honestly, not even expecting to complete them all, but by the end of the day, I was already done everything, more than I even expected to. So you're just gonna see one last time lapse here of me finishing up the remaining 3D aspects, and then moving over to Photoshop again to paint over the 3D scene that I finished making. And then you'll see the final concept in the end. Another thing to note here is, if you can see, I'm sort of adding a little bit of subtle blue lighting that's meant to be from an imaginary moon, since the sky is totally pitch black, just to add a little bit more lighting detail into the dark areas. But if you're like me and you keep your screen brightness at the lowest possible setting, you might want to increase it a little bit at this point, just so you can see more of those subtle blue nuances in the shadows that really pull everything together, in my opinion. I've already moved the 3D render of the scene over to Photoshop at this point, so pretty much what you're going to see me doing for the rest of the video is doing some touch-ups, adding certain details that would have been too complicated to add in 3D, and just until I reach a point where the scene has the right atmosphere and polish that I feel it matches what I want the final look of the game to be. Here you can see me finally getting back around to the scarecrow after it wasn't present in the 3D modeling, just because that would have been too complicated and take too much time. So he was saved for the 2D painting aspect of this. I did struggle a little bit with him only because I wanted him to be more prominent at the beginning. Only until a bit later I realized that I just wanted the scene to be the most prominent feature by itself, just with the corn stalks and the lamppost and the overall atmosphere. So the scarecrow kind of ended up being just an added feature to that. So I didn't end up spending too much time making him anything too special or creative, but I did still put him in a prominent position where he would be sort of the main focal element. And now here you can see me actually adding a strange silhouette in the foreground, which is actually a gramophone, because gramophone is something I wanted to add as a game mechanic. I'm not entirely sure what they'll do yet. It might be a save feature. I'm hoping it'll play some sort of audio, like maybe some creepy music, or maybe like an audio recording of someone reading a story or saying something that pertains to the story. But in any case, I really wanted to add these gramophones around the scene, around the environment, as a game mechanic, so that's why I'm adding one here into the concept. And just like that, the concept is done. Like I said earlier, it honestly surprised me. I thought it was going to take a couple of days to get through this, but somehow just everything fell into place and I finished it all in that second day. So here you see the final concept, and I'm pretty proud of it. I hope that you guys like it as well. I hope that you guys think that the idea for this game is cool and see the potential in it. And I hope some people will stick around for some more devlogs, because I'll be trying to make at least one a month, but we'll see how that goes. So yeah, hope you guys like the idea and hope you stay tuned to watch some more as I fumble my way through this game project. So see you guys later with another update.